Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting of the Select Board to order for Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Amy, do we have our public forum
I have not
participant?
logged into Zoom yet, but if Ben can check if we have anyone for public comment. I believe the town moderator is going to be on.
While we're waiting for that, is anyone else here for public forum? Residents are invited to share ideas, opinions, or ask questions regarding their town government. Seeing none, anything on Zoom?
Well, I haven't joined yet or been promoted to panelist, so. But if we say
Through
it
the
out loud.
moderator,
Aye.
through the moderator, there are two.
Two.
We have two? Oh, great, thank you. Would you mind livening up the first person, whomever that might be, please?
Something going on out there, huh?
Is anyone there for public forum?
Hi, can you hear me?
Aye, yep.
Hi, this is Bill Flannery, 12 Saddle Hill Road. How
Hey,
are
Bill.
you? Good. Although I sit on a couple of committees here in town, including appropriation, I am speaking as a private citizen. I first want to commend the board and senior leadership in town for your hyper-focus on controlling costs in the operating and capital budgets. However, increased cost and lack of reliability is why I want to address the zero-emission vehicle policy you are considering adopting tonight. At the February 4th Select Board meeting, during department budget reviews, both the police chief and deputy chief had expressed concerns about costly maintenance issues and warranty coverage with the hybrid cruisers we now own. The chair asked the chief if he had considered not buying hybrid cars that are causing fits after 100,000 miles. The chief shared they are taking a hard look at that issue. It seems this lack of confidence has us replacing cruisers much sooner than we have in the past. At the March 12th Appropriation Committee meeting, Deputy Chief provided more context in sharing that law enforcement officers and executives in other towns had experienced similar frustrations with the reliability and maintenance cost of the hybrids. So now this ZEV policy would force the town to an all-electric police cruiser. I am concerned that we are going from a costly and frustrating experience with hybrids into a relatively new concept of all-electric police cruisers. So I'm curious if the board has had discussions with other towns that have owned electric police cruisers for a few years to learn about their experiences regarding cost and reliability. It's been widely reported that several car manufacturers, including Ford, who makes the most police vehicles, are scaling back pure electric cars because of consumer complaints and lack of demand. I understand that approving this binding commitment, the town may qualify for some grants in the future. However, the certainty of any grants at this time are very much in question. Also, has there been a cost analysis for the additional charging stations that would be needed to service a fleet of electric cruisers? In closing, I understand there is a temporary exemption for police cruisers until FY26. I am asking that the board consider amending this policy to exempt police cruisers permanently, or at least for a few years until more actual data from other police departments can be reviewed, and not force the town to buy potentially more expensive vehicles in FY26 and beyond just because they're available. In the spirit of fiscal responsibility, let's provide department heads the flexibility and trust to buy the most cost-efficient and reliable vehicles for their departments. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Is there another person for public forum online, please?
There is. Here she comes.
Is that Ellen?
Yep, she's on.
Ellen, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can now. Please go right ahead.
Okay.
Well, hi, everybody. I have a little note I wanted to read. I think a few of you probably already know this, but I wanted to kind of do it in a more structured way. So, like many parents, I'm looking forward to my son Simon's college graduation in May. Simon is graduating from DKU, which is in China, near Shanghai. I've not been to college to visit him, as you might imagine, until his graduation. And I am leaving for the graduation on May 2nd. So I will not be moderating town meeting. I have been working with Connor and Elaine, and Connor is well equipped to step in as moderator. I wanted to thank you all for your partnership over the past few years. It's really been an honor to serve as Hopkinton moderator and to participate in town meeting, which is a great example of important local democracy in action. So here's to a successful spring town meeting, and thanks again.
Great, thank you, Ellen. I hope you have a great trip, and congratulations to Simon.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you.
Okay, any others for public forum?
I don't see any other hands raised.
Great, thank you. All right, we'll move on to item number 3 in the agenda, which is the consent agenda. The board will consider the following consent agenda. There's some minutes from April 8th, 2025, a new employee. The select board will consider confirming the town manager's appointment of Max Schiller as a DPW summer intern. Resignation, the board will consider accepting the resignation of Priya Vasudevan. I hope I got that right, from the Youth Commission. Vasudevan, thank you. From the Youth Commission, accept a gift of $500 from the Irvine Foundation to the Police Department, and renew an intermunicipal agreement for Central Massachusetts Regional Stormwater Coalition. Are there any items anyone would like to break out?
No, just comment to thank Priya Vasudevan for her service at the Youth Commission, and thanks to the Irvine Foundation for the gift as well.
Okay?
Okay.
No breakouts? Anybody want to make a motion?
I move the motion, Mr. Chair, I move the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comment or comments or questions around the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous and so carries. So the consent agenda is all set. We certainly want to send a note out saying thank you to the Irvine Foundation for that police department gift as well. Item number 4 is a public hearing for Verizon New England. That's at 6:15, so we are a little early for that. We'll come back to that here in a few minutes. Item number 5 is a deputy chief and police lieutenant thing. We're going to wait for that. There's some folks that are going to come in. Item number 6 is the zero emission vehicle policy. The select board will hear an update and consider adopting the draft zero emission vehicle policy. I think we could probably get into that right now a little bit, and we'll see how that goes, and we may have to revisit it once we get to the public hearing timeline. So, Elaine, you want to introduce this topic for us, please?
I believe Julia and
Okay, so if they're not here, then
they're around the corner.
let's,
I can go grab them. Yep. They're in.
yeah, if we could please. All right. While we're getting here, just to be efficient here, let's jump down to item number 9, which is the town manager report. If you want to cover an item or two there.
Yeah, nothing too much to report on the Main Street Corridor project as last week. Most was focused on getting ready for the Boston Marathon. There may be some additional updates today. I think there was a construction meeting today with the folks. And
Yeah.
Marilla will be coming back to do some work coming up.
Yeah. Yep. So we kind of put everything on pause there for a couple of weeks with the marathon, and now we're going to get back into it. So, okay, great. Thanks for that. Hi, Julia.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you? We are back to item number 6, which is the zero emission vehicle policy. Elaine, if you're going to introduce that and then maybe introduce Julia.
Sure. Julia is our Sustainability, Economic Development, and Equity Project Manager, and she has been working with the Sustainable Green Committee on the zero EV policy, zero emission
Vehicle policy.
Which was brought to the board a couple of months ago for an informal discussion and is now back for consideration of approval at this time. And Julie will talk about the policy, how we got here, and what it means for us.
Okay, Julia, please.
Great. So as Elaine said, this policy was described a couple months ago to you all. It is put out by the state, and it is a requirement for us to pass if we want to become a climate leader. Becoming a climate leader opens us up to new funding opportunities. It's very similar to the green communities designation that we already have. The policy would require us to procure vehicles in a hierarchy, so starting with zero emission vehicles, and then hybrid, and then gas vehicles. We're already moving in this direction. Several communities have already adopted it, and it is a policy that will allow us to make sure that we're allocating the correct budget as well as the infrastructure to move our fleet to completely electric in the future. And this aligns with our zero emissions policy that we've adopted, our climate action plan, which are both commitments that the town has made.
Great, thank you. Excellent. Okay, with that, and we still have a few minutes here, initial comments, concerns, questions from the board members. Mr. Manon, do you want to start?
Sure. Thank you, Julia. I think certainly as a town, we have made a lot of progress in this space. I appreciate your effort and our Sustainable Green Committee and all the members and all the town residents' support throughout. Now, for this particular one, I think, we are hearing quite a few questions and concerns, and it's very important that we have enough information and data to support our mission and the goal. So on that ground, we heard today and also previously from our police and fire department about the cost-benefit analysis of this, and especially the immediate needs that we foresee, and also the availability of high-performing cars or cruisers for police, which is very much needed. We want our police to be successful when they're chasing someone. So given all that, can you share us what your data shows or perspective or any information you can?
Yeah, absolutely. So before we began to pursue this process, we did an analysis with Power Options. They created an analysis of how many chargers we'll need, the locations, and then the kinds of vehicles that are.
Julia, I'm sorry, I got to stop you right there. I have a contract with Power Options based on my solar activities. I need to recuse myself. Thank you very much. Good luck, folks. But we got to stop in 4 minutes to get into our next meeting.
In like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You can continue now.
Okay. So yes, this assessment shows that there are vehicles that are available for police cruisers. Something I also want to note that it is a Green Communities update that police cruisers are no longer exempt from the ZEV policy listed in our current vehicles policy under the Green Communities. So either way, we will need to begin changing over our police fleet to electric vehicles over time. Something else I want to note is the policy does not mandate that we replace all our vehicles at once. It's when the vehicle is up for expiration, needs to be switched over. So there is going to be a cadence of replacement. We won't be replacing everything at once. And we're, looking forward to working with department heads and our procurement team to ensure that we are finding vehicles that are competitive with department's needs and ensuring that we have the infrastructure ready.
Thank you. And just 2 quick follow-ups. So do you have any kind of analysis for the purchase, maintenance, and total cost of ownership over 3-year, 5-year timeline?
Yeah, I do. Unfortunately, I do not have the papers on hand, but we have that all in our report in terms of the cost-benefit analysis for gas versus electric, the maintenance of the vehicle, as well as the longevity of vehicles. So I'm happy to provide you with that report. I can certainly send that over after the meeting.
I think some slides are in our packet. I don't know would it be helpful to put them on the screen?
Sorry, Amy?
Some slides related to that are in our packet. We could ask them to put on the
yeah.
screen.
Sure. That's a good idea.
Oh, but now we're on pause, so let me get back.
So if you go to the slide, sorry, one slide before.
Julia, before you get into the slide, we're going to have to pause it now because we've got to do the public hearing on time. So if you wouldn't mind just giving us a few minutes, and we'll come back to you, okay?
Sure.
All right? Okay, sorry about this, folks. A little confusing here at the moment. We're going to go back to item number 4, which is a public hearing, a utility pole hearing for Verizon New England Incorporated. The Select Board will hold a public hearing on a petition for a utility pole location on East Main Street, Place 1, jointly owned pole numbered T.27.5/E.27 on the south side of East Main Street at a point approximately 642 feet southwesterly from the center line of Clinton Street and approximately 30 feet southwest of the existing pole numbered T.27/E.26. Reason, this pole is necessary to support new construction at number 132 West Main Street and to provide for the distribution of intelligence and telecommunications and the transmission of high and low voltage electric current. Elaine, I'm trying to remember, do we have to vote to open the public hearing? Or we just open the public hearing?
Just open the public hearing.
Open the public hearing. Okay, great. So we'll consider the public hearing now open at 6:15 p.m. Elaine, do you have any other comments specific to this public hearing?
Just for locational reference, it's where the new pickleball facility will be, near Fairview Estates on East Main Street.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sir, you are representing whom?
Verizon.
Verizon.
Don Varner with Verizon.
Okay. Are you a Verizon employee or a contractor?
I'm a subcontractor.
Subcontractor. Got it. But here on their authority.
Okay. First of all, that's a typo. It's 132 East Main Street is the reason. Just to clarify for you folks.
132 East Main Street. Okay, thank you.
I just visited the site, took the measurements. The stake where the pole is supposed to go was snapped off by somebody. I did find another one in the woods and put it in place, but I don't know if anybody went there to check it out beforehand. It wasn't there. There is a stake in place for an anchor, but that is not where the pole is going to be. The pole would be behind the guardrail. So, as the town manager said, this is necessary to support the construction that's going to be going on at 132 East Main. Pickleball, I guess. And that's my introduction.
Okay, great. Thank you. Questions, comments from the board? Mrs. Britterbush, start with you.
So I couldn't find the picture of it. I found the map. Oh, here it is. Okay. And so is there an existing pole in the place now, or we're that we're replacing, or we're just adding a new pole?
Adding a new pole.
Adding a new pole, so won't be an extra pole to remove?
Correct.
Okay, well, it seems there were no adverse comments from staff, it looked like to me. So I don't think I have any other questions or comments.
Mr. Clark.
No questions or comments. Everything that was provided helped, so thank you.
As long as it's a new pole, I have no problems with it. I hate the double poles, that's all.
You and
So
Brendan.
it's good. Yeah, me and Brendan.
No question at this time. I think this looks good to me.
Okay. And it is part of the new development over there. The planning board's obviously involved. Everybody else is involved. Was ZBA involved in that application? Okay.
Yep, they granted the necessary relief.
Okay. No issues there.
No.
Great. Okay. So with that, we'll open it up to the public since it is a public hearing. See if there's anyone here from the public that has any questions or comments specific to item number 4, which is this utility pole hearing. Is anyone here from the public that would like to speak? Seeing none, is there anyone online that would like to speak?
There are no hands raised.
No hands raised online. Give it another few seconds. Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Move the motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. I believe that's in order, Elaine, correct? Okay. Any questions, comments on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the public hearing is now closed, and the board will deliberate. Questions, comments, anything anyone wants to say before we vote?
We need a motion.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody want to make a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve a grant of location for one jointly owned pole number T.27.5/E.27 on the south side of East Main Street at a point approximately 642 feet southwesterly from the center line of Clinton Street and approximately 30 feet southwest of existing pole numbered T.27/E.26.
Second.
We We have a motion and a second by Ms. Lafreniere. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous and so carries. You're all set, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, now that we've covered the one thing that was very timely, we can come back to Julia, and you guys can finish the conversation around this question.
Prison.
Okay? And I'll monitor when I think you're done. We'll come back. Sorry.
You want to continue the presentation? or-
Yes, please, that would be great.
Which slide would be the best? Oh, there we go. Yep.
Okay. So, oh, sorry, the next slide over. Thank you. So, oh. Perfect. So this is a chart showing the cost comparison between electric vehicles and non-electric vehicles. Overall, our power options assessment has shown that there are savings over the lifetime of the vehicle, both for the maintenance because of engine costs, as well as the difference between gas and electric. So overall, it is much more cost-effective in terms of maintenance. There are several federal and state incentives and rebates that are currently out there that would offset the cost of the electric vehicle at cost or at purchase. And so that is something that we are well supported through Power Options, and I'm also happy to do that research and help our department heads purchase the vehicles to ensure we're offsetting costs.
Do you want to present anything else, or we can go around asking questions? Mary Jo, do you want?
Well, I've been on the MWITA board for this last 2 years, and they've gone all electric on their bus vehicles. So I'm not necessarily opposed to electric. However, listening to the earlier gentleman, I would like to do this. I would love to do it, but I would like to do it not all at once. I don't want to, I want to see this phase, a program to phase it in, and that way we get to see how it's working, you know, just a couple of vehicles, and then as we get rid of older vehicles, go down the line, maybe then we can make the decision to bring on another electric vehicle or not. And I just think that that's how we should look at it. We should look at it as a phased-in operation and not 100% tomorrow.
Yeah, Mary Jo, you hit the nail on the head. It is a phase kind of policy, and so whenever a vehicle dies, we're replacing it. It will not be, hundreds of vehicles at once. Every year, there's about 3 police cruisers that are replaced, and so we'll be doing this slowly and ensuring that we are investing in the infrastructure to charge.
Okay, that's all I wanted to say.
Perfect. So, thank you for the slides, very helpful. When did the exemption for police cruisers expire? Because I thought that was, for the fiscal year, but it's not.
It is for the fiscal year, so that'll be expiring June 30th of this year. And then starting July 1st, all police cruisers that are replaced will need to follow this hierarchy.
Okay. That's the only area I'm a little concerned with this, is because police cruisers specifically, they run almost 24/7, right? It's a unique strain on the car. And I know the police department has concerns, and just the information that I've read about it, I'm concerned. And is it right to understand that, if we don't do the police cruisers or we don't figure out a way to make them exempt, the whole thing we can't be a part of?
So this is a mandate in the Green Communities vehicle policy, not just this policy. So the policy we're currently under will require that police cruisers become EVs when replaced.
Jeff, you want to join us? Yeah.
Jeff Rowland, Chair, Sustainable Green Committee. I just want to emphasize that the Green Communities program, the vast majority of the state is covered under that as well. So we're not talking about, just a handful of towns are going to be affected here. The entire state is going to be going under this policy too. So keep that in mind. And If we're looking at the municipal fleet beyond just police, we're really just talking about a handful of vehicles that aren't going to be exempt from this. Any of the large vehicles, fire trucks, ambulances, anything required for snow removal, over 8,500 pounds, all the dump trucks, all exempt. So we're talking about how many vehicles, maybe, that'll actually be affected?
I think under 10.
Under 10 units?
So just to understand better the scope of this policy, it's really not broadly impactful.
Yeah. No, like I said, I get the policy. It makes sense to me. I have concerns about the police cruisers, you know, just specifically, like just them. So I don't know how we like look closer at that. Have you guys worked with the police chief, and what has their feedback been recently on it?
Yeah, so we sent an email communication a few months back just informing them about the policy and getting feedback. I think that the main concern is the charging infrastructure, and I think that there are concerns about cost. When we look at costs in a pre-wired space, they're very affordable, you know, under $5,000 with rebates and incentives to get that charging infrastructure in place. Again, we're not replacing the entire fleet at once, and so we'll be able to charge a vehicle, transfer it over, but I want to reiterate that this policy isn't introducing a new exemption, because the exemption is already going to be in place under our existing policy come June 30th.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, and then the question I think I had, are plug-in electric hybrids included in this for police cars, where they could run on gas if they run out of charge?
Yes, so I believe that they're second in that hierarchy of vehicle replacements. So they are. There's also a contingency in the policy that says that if the wait time for a vehicle, or if the wait time for procuring a vehicle due to restraints in available charging infrastructure is going to delay the procurement by 12 months, towns can go ahead and get a gas vehicle. So the state wants to ensure that our initial commitment is to make sure our communities are safe, ensure that our departments can do their jobs, and so there are exemptions available when the timeline is not available for us to procure a vehicle.
Okay, and do we have a plan in place to get the recharging stations installed at the police or fire department in the back?
So that will require us to have conversations. We're planning to speak to the police chief early next month, work with our facilities team in addition to see if we can implement more chargers across town.
Okay, but do we have this budgeted at town meeting, or will all be grant funded, the chargers?
We've set aside, I think, $5,000 for at least one charger somewhere, and we have some other potential chargers in the works at a public lot, the new lot across the street.
Okay, all right. And so, like, one charging station could probably charge 2 vehicles, is that correct? Okay, If we got 2 cars this year, that would cover that. Okay, and then I think you already said that the DPW vehicles and fire trucks, really large vehicles, are exempt already. Okay. All right, I think that answers my questions.
One other question I heard from, I believe, one of the police-related discussions. So if there are charging stations and these are, take some time to charge, and we need those vehicles ready 24/7, what is the kind of downtime because of charging that the police department should be aware of and be prepared for?
For level 2 chargers, about 7 hours, 7 to 8. It varies.
There's so many it depends questions here.
Varies depending on the vehicle. I think that an important thing to note is that with the number of vehicles that we have in stock, I don't believe it's realistic that all vehicles are deployed at once. And so, again, taking the assumption that we were replacing 3 vehicles per year, that's also not done at the same time. And so there should be enough downtime for us to be charging 1 vehicle while the others are in deployment.
And on a level 2 charger, if you're talking about a vehicle that's completely depleted, yeah, it might take, say, 7-8 hours to give it a full charge, but that's highly unlikely you'll get to that point where the vehicle's battery is that low. Yeah, realistically, maybe go through half the battery in a very busy day.
But has the police department confirmed that that downtime's acceptable with their fleet?
We've, again, communicated over email, and I think that the main concern is just that there's no chargers currently available. There wasn't a concern expressed that if we put in one charger, then that's not going to be enough capacity. The concern was just that there's 0 chargers at the moment. And so I think one of the primary reasons we're pushing for this policy now is for us to begin movement on implementing the infrastructure, because the way the state is moving forward, I would not be surprised if this becomes a mandated policy in the next 5 years.
Okay.
And just to be clear, you have a deadline you mentioned. Can you elaborate on that? Adopt the policy to qualify for certain grants?
Oh, yes. So we have one more requirement, which is to do a building decarbonization roadmap. So once this policy passes and once we complete the roadmap, we'll be able to apply. There's currently, I believe, 2 application windows. So one is in the fall and one is in the spring. And so we would, of course, like to shoot for the fall application, but if not, it will be next spring that we apply.
Thank you.
And just to add on, because plug-in electric hybrid vehicles are included, which, you know, they can run on gas if they were out of charge, and they charge in about 2 hours, not 7 hours. So I don't know if police cruisers are available in the plug-in hybrid, or they are. Okay. So I think you have a lot of options that you could try. You could try one plug-in hybrid, one full EV. So I think I'm comfortable moving forward with this, seeing as it's going to be a requirement next year for everyone on the green communities anyway.
I mean, I would probably wait like another meeting, just myself personally. I just want to kind of talk to the police department, you know, get their level of comfort, because I agree with you. The hybrid thing makes more sense to me than the fully electric for them. So I would probably hold off tonight on on supporting a motion and pushing it to like our next meeting. So
I'm thinking the same. I think that makes sense. And as you hear, we are all resonating that we all, or if I read correctly, we all like the proposal, we want to support it, but at the same time, we want to look at the various practical aspects of it, and especially since the police chief and some of the police vehicle-related concerns are surfacing, I think it would be good to kind of dig into that or get some response from them, and, you know, we can have another session on this, and maybe the police chief can join us too. That'd be a good way to kind of resolve it, I think.
Well, okay, anybody else, anything else you want to say? Okay, well, just, again, I want to say, I don't want to just say no to this program or anything like that. I really think it should be phased in increments so that we can see how it develops and what happens with the vehicles as we go along. And that's my only comment. So we want to, well, we don't have to vote on anything tonight because this is an update on this project.
they were looking for a motion, so you can see if someone wants to make a motion.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I can make the motion, but it sounds like everyone is wanting to wait. But I'll make the motion, I guess, and we can see. We can abstain if you don't want to vote for it. But so I move to approve the zero-emission vehicle policy, which will replace the town's fuel-efficient vehicle policy. And if there's no second, we don't move forward.
So we discussed enough. I can second it for the discussion, but my view is that we may want to wait a little bit for more information, and we want to support it, but support it, you know, in a more concrete manner so everyone feels comfortable. That would be my suggestion. So I think we can table it for now.
Okay, so you didn't second it.
I did not.
Okay.
All right. Well, appreciate you guys coming. Thank you. Again, we don't want to push this out long. We just need like another meeting or so, get you guys back, confirm with the police department. But we really appreciate everything you guys do for this, and we want to just make sure we're making the right
Keep coming
decision.
back.
So thank
I
you.
will definitely keep it on the
Keep
agenda.
coming
so
back.
much.
We keep
I
wanting
could
to
just
talk
add,
about this issue.
Happy Earth Day. And also, if you folks want to learn a little bit more about EVs, I'd be remiss if I didn't advertise our EV Expo coming up this Sunday, 1 to 4 at the high school. Hope
It's
to see
on
you there.
Sunday, right? Yep, looking forward to it, and thank you for all the work that you do.
Thank you very much. It's a lot of work. Good job.
Okay, thank you all very much. My apologies for that bit of confusion there. Next up, we're going to go back to the agenda and tackle item number 5. Fire Chief Gary Doherty is going to introduce our new Deputy Fire Chief and a new Lieutenant. Chief Doherty will give you and your colleagues and friends and family a chance to come on in. Welcome, folks. Come on in. I think we're going to run out of chairs. We could have our two candidates join us over here in these chairs to make a couple spaces available. I think that's everybody from the hallway. Does that sound right to everybody? All good? Okay.
There are a couple of more chairs up front here,
There's a couple chairs if you want to join up front.
a few of them.
Elaine, please, if you would introduce the topic, and we'll go from there.
Fire Chief Gary Doherty is here this evening to introduce a new deputy chief and lieutenant to the fire department.
Great, thank you very much. Chief Doherty.
Good evening. I want to start by thanking the Select Board for giving me this opportunity tonight to introduce our new Deputy Fire Chief and Lieutenant. Your continued support means a great deal to me and the members of the Hopkinton Fire Department. These promotions have not been possible without your support.
Great.
First,
I'd
I'd
like
like
to have the first one join you, and how do you want to do that?
Yeah, sure.
Good evening.
First, I'd like to introduce Deputy Chief Scott Jurassic. He began his career as a call firefighter in Hopkinton in 2001. He became a permanent firefighter in 2003 and spent 22 years in the department, 15 years as a lieutenant. Scott holds a degree in fire science. He's an accredited Massachusetts fire chief. He holds both a Fire Officer 1 and Fire Officer 2 certification. He's a member of our technical rescue team. In 2022, he was honored with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Firefighter of the Year Award. As a shift lieutenant, Scott managed the daily operations for his group, and on multiple times that I've been out of town, he filled in as the acting fire chief. One time, he's even had to handle a multi-day incident involving multiple agencies and multiple town departments. Over the past 2 years, he has led major projects, including serving as the fire department's liaison to dispatch. He helped implement our ProPhoenix. He managed all our data conversion into ProPhoenix, helped roll out the station alerting system, and he's currently working with facilities to oversee our Station 1 and Station 2 renovations. Scott.
Great, thank you. Scott, anything you want to share with the board or the community as a whole?
I think he summed it up. I do have a little bit of a speech, but not long, because I'm not one for public talking, so.
It's multiple pages, folks. Go ahead,
Just
Scott.
one little cheat sheet, so I just wanted to thank my family and friends for their love and support over the years, especially to my wife Liz, my daughters Caitlin and Emily. A firefighter's life is never easy, or never easy on a family, but they've supported me more than they'll ever understand. I'd like to say thank you to all the firefighters, past and present, and all the past chiefs who made me who I am today. Special thank you to Chief Doherty for having the trust in me to be his next deputy.
Great, thank you. Gary, there's nothing we have to do here formally, correct? We don't have to vote this because you are a strong chief and you make this decision.
That's correct, sir.
Right. And Elaine, you agree with that? Yeah. Do you have a pin that you do or something? Or I think we should do that one at a time as well, if that's okay.
Ed, right here. Would you like to bring up your wife and daughter?
Sure. So if you guys want to do that, come on up front.
Camera. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
It's those hats.
2 out of 5.
Okay, Chief.
Come on, Johnny D. Ready?
Yes.
Okay. Next, I'd like to introduce Lieutenant John D. Ferrero. John has been in the fire service since 2015. He joined the Hopkinton Fire Department in 2018 after serving with the West Boylston Fire Department. He's currently a firefighter paramedic and the department's EMS coordinator. As the EMS coordinator, he oversees our QA and QI program. He also managed the rollout of our medication infusion pumps and spearheaded our implementation of our active shooter bags. John holds a bachelor's degree in biochemistry from WPI. He's a certified paramedic, and he's a fire instructor 1 and fire officer 2. John will be assigned to the Group 3 as their shift lieutenant.
Great, thank you. Excellent. John?
Yes. Oh, remarks.
Anything,
Tell us about yourself.
anything you'd like to share, John?
Well, I think kind of in the same thread as Deputy Jurassic, you know, I'd like to thank my wife, Rachel, who's here tonight, my family, and my old group, Group 4, who, without their support, I wouldn't be here today, and I wouldn't be who I am. So, you know, a big thank you and shout out to them.
Great, congratulations.
Thank you.
Same questions, Chief. You get to make this decision. The board has nothing to do with it, correct?
Yes, sir.
Elaine, you concur?
I concur.
Great. Okay. Well, congratulations, and please go ahead with the pinning.
All right.
Try not to knock the nameplates over, John. You'll be ahead of You'll be the deputy next week if you don't knock them off.
Why don't we just do it now?
Great.
Congrats.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Just 1 second. Just a couple quick comments, if I could, and then we'll let the board say hello as well. Thank you all for coming this evening. It's always great when we do these promotions, especially the 2 folks that have earned it, and we're really excited to have them join the leadership team. I'm really glad John did not knock any of the nameplates off the thing. I have been on the other side of a fire situation. Once in Hopkinton, a serious fire at my house, and another time something was smoking in the wall and the HFD came out and took care of it. So I know extremely well how important they are to our community, and I feel very safe living in Hopkinton because of you folks, and appreciate all that you do very much every day. Thank you. Mr. Clark.
Perfect. So I think, you know, this is great. I'm very excited to be a part of this tonight, you know, especially, you know, the deputy and lieutenant positions. Growing up in a family of a firefighter, you know, I know how important these things are, and you don't get a lot of opportunities to be celebrated for the work that you guys do on a regular basis. And I think since, like, Scotty likes the spotlight so much, I'll drag this out a few more minutes. But, I mean, I think the deputy position, too, it was probably the first time I attended one of these meetings when, Gary, your dad, you know, made the full-time deputy position with my dad at the time. And, you know, if you could believe it, that was before Brian was on the board back in probably 2007. So it's fun to be a part of this tonight. Congratulations. Thank you guys for everything that you do. Yep.
Amy?
Yeah, I'm going to echo what Joe says. Luckily, I don't think I've ever had to call the fire department for fire at my house, but I did lose some very dear friends to carbon monoxide poisoning once, and I really appreciate how proactive our department is in educating the public about the carbon monoxide alarms and everything. And so anyway, I really appreciate all you do, and hopefully, if I ever do have to call, I know I will save.
Great, thank you. Mr. Manon.
I would echo the same. We have a great fire department and under Gary's leadership. So thank you, Gary, and to the fire department for all the good work, for keeping us safe. And I know time to time it gets busy, but it's amazing how you jump in and crank through any and all challenges. So we are very lucky to have such dedicated fire department. And personally, I think all of our residents feel safe because of you, and we feel we are comfortable at our homes because of you. So kudos to the fire department. And I'm also very happy to see that we have our complete cycle on the leadership, on the succession. That only makes the department stronger. And this is very well thought out, and we have great service from Scott for decades, and from newly anointed Lieutenant John for the great service. So couldn't be more proud. And keep up the wonderful work. Congratulations to the new appointees, and thanks to the fire department again.
This is the front here.
Well, I too come from a firefighting family, and I love them. And I really have to say, I have used the department at least 4 times in the last couple of years, and not like Brian, and not for any fires, but for medical reasons. And fabulous treatment. They've taken me to Milford Hospital, I think 3 times. About a month ago, I broke my nose. Just things like that. And just the treatment has been fantastic. And I feel very safe with this fire department in Hopkinton.
Great, thank you. Well, as everyone has said, congratulations to you folks. Congratulations, Chief Doherty, for all the work you're doing. Congratulations to the entire fire department for everything that they do every day. We appreciate it very much. And we wish you the best in the new roles. Well done. Take care. Just get everybody right here.
Take a picture.
Yeah, Tom? Yep, all good. Got it. Great. Thank you all very much.
Of course, yes. Absolutely. Proud of what you're doing. You're now more solid and strong, right? Yeah, I'm really happy to see this. That's what I like. Thank you.
See you, Tommy.
Congratulations, Johnny. Very proud.
Okay, Peter McGuire.
Okay, and you guys
Very nice.
tabled item number 6, is that correct? Which was that zero emission?
Make a motion on it, correct.
I'm sorry?
We did not make a motion.
Okay, thank you.
Did that, yeah.
All right, so we're going to go to item number 7 next. We'll give it a minute here. I think we should probably have to grab that door once they clear, only they'll be out there, if that's okay.
I was going to say, there are some slides about this, so we could ask Ben to get.
I'm sorry?
There are some slides about this. We could ask Ben to get those ready.
Okay, yeah, if we could get the slides ready for item number 7, please. It's Matt out there, right?
I think it's Ben, no?
I'm sorry?
Ben? No?
Ben? Ben's on there? Okay. Yeah, Ben, if you could liven up the slides for item number 7, please. All right. Thanks, Kyla, for grabbing it. Okay, so item number 7 is the Trails Committee directional signs and an update. Ms. Lazarus, if you would introduce the topic, please.
So the Trails Committee, newly formed committee, and they have an idea for identification signs for trails around the community, and they'll present that this evening.
Great. I saw Mr. Lagoy running in the marathon yesterday. I'm assuming he's very calm this evening. The endorphins are probably still pumping, and he's not going to get energized about trails tonight. Mr. Lagoy.
That's true. Peter Lagoy, 21 Hayden Rose Street, and Chair of the Trails Committee. And I have with me Linda Chus, who's going to actually do the presentation. With regards to a brief update, just wanted to give you 2 seconds and say we're working on public outreach as kind of our primary focus right now, and we're looking at starting listening sessions with various boards and committees, and then with town residents to kind of reset what folks want with regard to trails in town and hear from the public. That was kind of the new committee's thoughts on a key focus. One of the ways to do that is make people aware of the trails. Linda.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, Brian. Thank you, Peter. Hi. Okay, so as you all probably know, trails are a huge asset to our town, not only for residents but for visitors. But not enough people know that many of the trails exist. We have a lot of trails, and some of them are just well-kept secrets, and we don't want them to be secrets. What we've come up with, we have a lot of ideas on how to promote trails, but we think the best way to reach the most people and increase awareness and usage is with a standard roadside sign that is at various trailheads in town. The TCMC committee talked about this and supported it unanimously. This committee took it up as the first area we want to tackle for awareness, and also unanimously supports it. We want to start with a test, though, and see how it works. Before we plaster signs all over, we want to try a few, make sure it works well. Next slide, please. So this is a mock-up for the trail at Center School. Did all of you know there's a trail behind Center School, by the way? Yes, you all do? Good job. Okay. Beautiful trails behind Center School, but they're not very well known by most people. And so this is one way we could help increase awareness. So this is what a roadside sign might look like. This is show and tell version. And they would be standard, we could go to the next slide. And this is a little about the design. It's a generic trail sign on a standard street sign post. They call them a U-channel. And there would be an arrow at the bottom. We would have the information on both sides, so people driving in each direction would see it. And the name of the trail would be on a small sign above the standard trail sign. We may be able to get some cost efficiencies by just printing more of the trail signs and fewer of the customized ones. Next slide, please. And feel free to interrupt if anything's needs some clear. Okay, more about the design. We chose not to do the standard hiker you might see, say, in New Hampshire up in the mountains, because it doesn't represent multi-use. Our trails are for bikers, wheelchairs, strollers, not just hikers. The wooded path icon on it kind of brands it as what it's used for. Brown is the standard sign for natural recreation areas, so we went with that. And this is what the sizes are, which are, it's a little bigger than this. It's a pretty standard, actually, yeah, with the sign on top, it's about this big. It's a pretty standard street sign size. Okay, next, please. So we haven't gotten exact cost estimates yet, but I did look on the internet and looked at various estimates. It would be, including the post, about $400 for the double-sided sign with the name and the arrow and all. We don't know what installation costs would be. We figure, just based on installing some of our own signs, probably about 2 people for about 2 hours. We would get exact cost estimates from DPW. Next slide, please. So the rollout, to start with, we want to try it at 4 places and modify the sign or modify what we do based on feedback we get. Center Trail, which I know is already really popular and not a lot of people know about it, but believe it or not, a lot of people don't know about it, including out-of-town visitors, but even people in town. And that's a place where lots of people drive by. So this is a great place to introduce people to a nice, easy trail. The Center School one, because as I said, not a lot of people do know about it. Hughes Farm, again, many people know, but not enough. And Fruit Street, a lot of people don't know about the trails up at the Pratt Farm area there. And just to be clear, these would be signs for a trail area, not necessarily a specific trail. So right now, we have about 40 places in town we could put these. We're not necessarily advocating all of them. We're just saying that's the maximum probably. We could trim that, and so if you multiply that cost out, it could end up being about $20,000 over a few years, and we're happy to spread that out. We could do the trial, and we can do a few more as needed as the years go on. Next, please. Some people I have heard do not prefer signs. They are minimalist. So we're aware of that. We'd like to understand the rationale behind that. And there are some signs in town that maybe could be removed if it's really a big concern. Not trail signs, but other signs. And we should really consider the value that these provide. Some towns have them. We do have a couple in our town. Sudbury Valley Trustees has a sign not like this. In fact, I don't like their design because it's hard to read, but they have a sign on Pond Street pointing to Whitehall Woods. A number of other towns have quite a few of these. So I think even if we don't love a lot of signs, we can put some in, given the value that we think they provide. And last slide, please. So what we're seeking is approval to do this trial run at those 4 locations. If we get that, we'll then work with DPW to finalize the costs for the trial. We then order and install the 4 signs. We solicit feedback in a number of ways to see how well they worked. And we then figure out what to do next, whether we expand it, take them away because they didn't work, change the design, like that. That's it. Any questions, any comments?
Great, thank you very much. Mrs. Ritterbusch.
Yeah, thank you for bringing this forward. I did have a few questions, comments. Before you do your pilot, I would recommend you run it by the design review board, especially for the color contrast issue. Like, if you want it to be readable at a distance, it kind of probably has to either be a dark brown with white, because that's kind of a light brown. I know it's probably just printed at home, but I think that, and then a really clear, easy to read font, easy to read from the road. And then you probably know this, but if it's in the historic district, which if it were at Center School it is, it would need to go to the Historic District Commission. So that might not be your best choice for the pilot trial. They usually don't like the gray poles with the holes. They like the solid black poles, you know. So it might not be the best trial one. And then, and then you mentioned that, so that you're not using the hiker, because to indicate that it's not necessarily just a hiking trail. Would you anticipate different signs for when it's a multi-use versus hiking? This would be generic for both. Okay. All right, those are all my comments. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Clark.
Nothing jumps out. Thank you for the information. Like, very straightforward. I think it makes sense to try it, right? Put a few locations. Slightly different question. This is kind of our first time having you guys back since the new committee's been formed. How has it been going, just in you two's perspective?
It's been going very well. I mean, a lot of interaction, and it's always tricky from my perspective, coming in as a chair of the old committee and then trying to get, allow people's new ideas, but I think we've done a pretty good job of encouraging that. For example, do I think we really need to go out and do all these listening sessions? No, but that's my personal choice. That's not the committee's choice. And with their guidance, I think it absolutely makes sense. It's like it's a chance to reset. So I think we're doing a good job on that. And we've, despite a recent Hopkins Independent article, we've been, I think, really cooperating very well. Even in that particular case, it was the headline not versus the article.
Yep. Awesome.
If I could also add, I think it took a few months to sort of feel each other out and gel. In this last meeting we had, a number of us at the end said, wow, we're starting to get things done, and that felt really good.
Awesome. I love to hear that. No, thank you for sharing. I was just been curious.
Yeah.
So.
And we'll come back at some point, right, Peter?
Yep.
Just prompting you to.
That's it. Good.
Who's the front here?
Well, I think it's a great idea, and I love the idea of the signs. My only question is, I know it's not terribly expensive, it's not a lot of money, but between you people and the DPW or CBC, whatever you have, is any of this budgeted already? Do we have funds for these signs?
We have budget for it, yeah.
Okay, okay.
In our budget.
That's all I wanted to know, because I think it's a fantastic idea.
Great.
Set? Mr. Manon.
Yeah, I would echo the same. I think this is a very good idea, and it would also help people to know where things are and kind of navigate easier. So all for it. I think my colleagues covered the other questions. I'm also happy to hear that the Trails Committee reboot is looking positive and jiving. Would love to hear more as you progress and update in the coming days. But this is a good idea, and the budget seems to be covering it. So good to start how you're planned. So thanks for the thought-out plan.
Okay. I like the idea a lot. I think it makes a lot of sense. However, I agree with Mrs. Ritter-Bush. I think that for the one in front of Center School, that we're going to have to take into account the pole aesthetics. So that could take a while to do. So maybe it's not a great idea for the trial one, only because it could take a while to do and you want to get something done. Let's do it elsewhere. The other one I would be concerned about is the Center Trail on the corridor side. We have Mass DOT not done yet. We have lots of signs coming along the corridor that are required per Mass DOT. So, and we have in that trailhead area, we've got that big brick circle. We're going to have a bike repair station, and something else is going there, plus a garden. So maybe at some point we could hang it on the bike repair station or something like that. But for right now, I'd leave that alone. If you do want to do one on the Center Trail, do it on the school side, up on the Loop Road, just so they could find it up there. But I wouldn't do it on the corridor side. That's just my 2 cents. Linda?
So thank you. Elaine did mention that to us. Would it be possible to put it on the other side of the road where Hop Lumber is?
No, that's still part of the corridor.
Project area.
Yeah, that's all part of the
Okay.
corridor.
Okay.
That's all sidewalk over there, and then they're blacktop. So I think we just got to leave the corridor alone for right now.
Yep.
But I think the other couple of locations you talked about for trials would make sense. I don't think there's a lot of signs in those areas, and I don't think it would conflict with anything. So,
If we chose 2 others just to get more of a mix, would that be okay? Would we need to come back here with those, or?
I don't think so.
Okay.
4 signs, 2 locations already predetermined, and 2 other locations to be determined by the Trails Committee.
And trying to make sure we don't pick things that might fall into.
And I just wanted to mention, too, that DPW director let me know that they're not in favor of the signs in the right-of-way. So if they're back a few feet on the actual property, that would be better.
Did they say why?
I'm assuming part of that is that they're not road safety signs, they're other signs. So road safety signs, take priority in the right-of-way.
Yeah,
But that's,
we would see this being somewhat consistent with the, for example, turtle crossing signs, but do those count as road safety signs?
well, I think the difference is that sometimes they're on an existing pole, so if they're co-locating on a pole, I think that's okay. But if it's a separate pole, I think that's an issue. But you could have further discussions with people.
Yes, yes.
so do you think we should vote this, Elaine?
I think you can with some contingencies. You can vote in favor of a certain number of signs. And then the other thing I was going to recommend that when we're placing them initially, perhaps having them at trailheads where there's a place to park.
Where there's a,
Where there's a place to park. So those are the ones we probably want to publicize most, where people can actually, drive there, and it's not just people walking there from their neighborhood.
Yep.
Let's try this. The chair will entertain a motion to approve no more than 4 trial signs to identify trails in the community, 2 of which one would be located at the Hughes Farm. The other would be located at
Bridge Street.
Fruit Street. We would not put any in the corridor at this time. We would not put any in the historic district at this time. And that all locations would have to be approved by the DPW director for safety and compliance purposes.
Could we add that they be reviewed by the design review board, too?
And at the signs be approved by the design review board.
That's my suggestion.
So that's in the motion that I'm proposing somebody make.
Oh.
So moved, yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table.
Second.
And we have a second. Is everybody good with that motion? Did we cover everybody's concerns? Okay. And is that motion okay with you guys?
Yes.
Because then this is how we would have to do it, right? Do you think the motion's in order?
That's fine.
Okay, great. Okay, any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous and so carries. So we'll start with that.
Okay.
Yep, perfect.
Thank you.
Okay.
Am I allowed to say go Celtics?
You can, sure.
Go Celtics.
I'm watching Peter stand up. Well done. Reminds me of the good old days. Okay, thank you folks for coming in for that.
Thank you.
Item number 8, FY26 budget and the May 5th, 2025 annual town meeting. Ms. Lazarus.
Kyla LaPierre, CFO, is here to wrap up the FY26 budget discussion.
Great.
So,
Welcome, Kyla.
thank you. Everyone has the warrant articles and motions. The packet that was sent out with the agenda was revised, so I think you have the new motions document. There were 3 articles that were revised compared to what was in the packet. So Article 2.
And the document we had upon arriving this evening, this is the latest and greatest.
That is the latest, correct.
Oh, so different than what's in the,
I did email, an updated copy this morning was emailed by Vasuta if you want to use a PDF, Amy.
Item number 2, the motion is to take no action. Everybody's okay with that? Okay.
it's just not needed anymore.
Go ahead, Kyla.
So Article 3, we had it as all free cash. However, there are 2 sewer articles listed for unpaid bills, and those 2 should come from retained earnings. So the amount of free cash being used has decreased, and you'll just see that amended motion. The overall amount stays the same.
We will need that amended motion.
It is included in the revised.
Okay, I got you.
Page 2.
Sewer, okay, retained earnings, got it, okay.
And then the last update was Article 5 on the operating budget. We had FY 2025 in the enterprise wording, as well as an amendment to the general fund, not the total, just the general fund amount that was listed on page 3.
Okay.
So with those edits, the free cash allocation that was just handed out to you also changed. So we're starting with 18.1 million in free cash, which I'm sharing because it may come up and be a topic at town meeting. We're starting with 18.1, and we have a proposed ending of 2.2 million. And that how it's allocated across all the different projects, as well as the different stabilization funds, OPEB, prior year bills, paying off the 2013 bond for $500,000 and a $5 million allocation to capital stabilization. And we will end with 2.2.
So just to be clear, we're starting with 18 million, and we're just talking very rough numbers, right? And we've got 22 grand, whatever, OPEB is 875,000, transfer to special ed reserve, $1 million, transfer to general fund stabilization, 700,000, and then transfer to capital stabilization, 5 million. Is the capital stabilization transfer, which is a big chunk, does that positively impact our bond rating? Or is that not part of the bond rating calculation?
It's a wash. So we can either leave it in free cash or we can put it in stabilization.
Healthy in terms of
Correct.
their view of where it is.
Absolutely.
Right? We want that strong, maintain that strong bond rating.
Yeah.
That's the biggest challenge in all this debt that we have is keeping that bond rating high.
We have our bond rating call on May 6th.
So that's 5.7, that's 5, 6, 7, it's about 8 million roughly, 7.5 million. We're basically saving for another day.
A rainy
of
day.
Of that 18. And then the rest is going for pay-as-you-go.
If approved.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Mr. Manon, any questions?
Some observation and a couple of questions. Happy to see that. It's looking, quite a bit of buffer for us. Yep. And I also want to add, not only we are keeping aside almost 8 million, as Mr. Chair noted, we are also providing some of the highest allocation to OPEB, to stabilization, definitely capital stabilization, in quite some time.
Ever.
Ever, probably, right? Yeah. Ever. So happy to see that. And again, as much as we can save for rainy days, that's our goal. So appreciate all the good work and all the good luck this year also.
And no new borrowing.
And no new borrowing, zero new borrowing. So great discipline and combination of things. We have achieved a lot on the budget and here. One quick question I had is that keeping this 2.2 in free cash, does that open up more spending during the town meeting? Should anyone asks for more money and opens a new motion?
We did an analysis year over year of what has been left in free cash. This won't be abnormal.
Okay.
So we have left money in free cash every year.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, just to jump in real quick, I was kind of wrong there. Like it's $7.5 million that we're putting into buckets up top there for savings, if you will. But we're still left with 2.2, to your point, Mr. Manon, left over. So it's really $9.5 million that we have for flexibility for future years, right? So my mistake. Anything else?
That'll be all. This is great. Thanks.
Ms. LaFreniere, anything?
I think that's, I've always been a champion of OPEB and like to see it filled. And I'm very, very happy with the way the budget has turned out this year. And we asked the town's departments to cut their budgets and come in at good rates, and it seems like everybody's done it. I'm very proud of them.
Thank you. Mr. Clark.
Nothing additional. I think the biggest thing is going to be at town meeting, when people start asking, we're moving $5 million to stabilization. Why don't we use that for some other things? I think that's going to be our biggest challenge is talking that down and explaining why we need it there. So I think it looks great. Thank you.
No, I think I echo what everyone else says. I think it looks good that we're putting so much into stabilization, and then we have some extra left over in it'll be in free cash next year. And it's, things are kind of uncertain economically right now, so we might need that money next year to buy a fire truck or something. So it's good that we're saving some for next year, or in the years to come.
Yeah, I think Joe raises a good point. Amy makes a good point as well. We're saving some money for the next year and the year after that and the year after that, because this debt situation doesn't go away just because we balanced the budget this year. It hasn't even really taken off yet. It's going to take off truly in 27 and 28 and 29. So I think that money will be certainly in position to help out at that time. Okay. Anything else you want to share, Kyla?
We finalized the appropriation report on Friday, so that will be published to the town website. And they are all approved with motions, so we're all good.
Okay. Let's talk about not finances directly, but with what Kyla here, making sure that we have our, quote, assignments for town meeting organized and ready to go. We have the moderators meeting. I think, is that already held?
Yes.
That was yesterday. When was that, or whenever it was?
Last week.
I don't remember, but, so we've had that. That went well?
It went well?
Okay. We have 41 articles. A couple of them were no action, so at least one I knew where we saw.
Can I, regards to in the moderators meeting, if I could? The moderator, or Connor is acting as the town moderator this year, and he would like anyone who has any slides to send them to him for approval prior. Did he say the deadline he needs to see them by?
Deadline was last week, but
Oh, okay.
still accepting them.
So if we needed slides to present any of our things, we should make sure to get those.
Okay. And then we go to town meeting, which is May 5th, which is a week from this coming Monday. And my sense is we can do it in one evening. I'm hoping that's the case. I know I shouldn't have said that, but I did anyway. So we'll see how that plays out. And then we have 3 articles that we're involved in, if I remember correctly. Economic development that Mr. Manon and Mr. Clark were going to kind of co-discuss with the town meeting attendees, right? Mm-hmm. Are we ready for that?
Not yet. We have some discussions, and in the next, this week actually, we're going to finalize it. And I also spoke to the Chamber of Commerce, and they will also participate in our discussion or in the presentation a little bit, giving their view and their support.
Do we know the timeline that you folks have to do that? If we get up there and spend 45 minutes talking to town meeting, you'll get booed off the stage, right? Like, do we have that figured out? Basic question, I know.
Yeah, it won't need that long.
I don't know. I think we'll be like under 10 minutes.
Okay, great.
I think we're going to reuse the slides we used from the special town meeting to just kind of give people the backstory, right? And you'll walk them through that and then and now we have the first quarter's revenue amount. It's not a lot of money. So I think that'll make it even less of like, a heavy debate, knowing that it's just like a small amount for right now. That could go up in the future. I think there was a couple employers that weren't reporting it, so it'll change a little bit, but we pretty much know what we have now.
And you guys are communicating, not deliberating, but communicating the logistics of doing that together, or however you're doing it.
Yeah, we had some discussions, and in the coming days, we're going to finalize that. And I also spoke to Julia Chun. She's helping gathering some data. Some of the other neighboring towns also initiated this, so that is also going to help kind of presenting as information for the residents. So we're going to wrap it up in the next week or so and be ready for it.
Okay, good.
I was going to say that Connor really was emphasizing the shortest possible for presentations. So I think if you could keep it under 5 minutes or talk to Connor. And you can always answer questions if people ask.
Yeah, I think just the old slides I think we used maybe 3 in the fall. And it's, you can do that in, a minute and a half to go through those.
Okay.
So,
It's a maximum.
Okay, so there's that one.
yeah.
5 minutes, there you go. Town manager has spoken. Anything else? Well, there was 2 others.
Center School.
Center School.
And just the first one, the reports.
And who was going to do Center School again?
Yeah,
Joe?
so we talked to Connor. We're going to make a motion at the beginning of the night or ahead of time to move the article up to go right after the CPC's article with Center School, because they're both kind of the same thing. So Dan is not going to be around for town meeting, so Ken's going to kind of lead the CPC side, and I'll join him, and we'll talk about our article and how we need to go partner with, we're going to open up an RFP, right? Like that's the plan to work with the HCA. So we're going to put those things back to back. No, not multiple sets of slides. Keep it as short as possible.
And who's making that motion to move that article?
Be a select board motion.
Yeah.
So you'll make that motion?
Yeah.
So that's at the beginning of town meeting?
Yes.
It's an order question, right?
Yep.
Okay, and that's just you doing that one?
Yeah, Shidul's offered to help too.
We are kind of coordinating the same way, so we are thinking that the HCA and the building committee and both of us are going to make a very brief presentation and talk.
5 minutes.
5 minutes, yes. And then just open it up for discussion.
Okay, so you got that one. You good on that, Elaine? Yes. I think we just want to make sure we don't forget to move that order.
Can I clarify? You're thinking about moving Article 37 to right after CPC, so they can be discussed together. CPC is 25, 26, yeah.
Just so heaven forbid we go into a second night and they're not split up over 2 nights, it just makes sense to just go through it all at once.
Okay.
Total sense.
So I can't see anyone pushing back on that.
Yep, that makes total sense. Good idea. Okay, and then there was a third.
I think that's it, just the motion for the reports at the beginning.
Yeah, we didn't count that really.
Which, that might be in the consent agenda anyway, right?
All right, everybody agrees then?
Yep.
Got a plan for town meeting?
One quick note, do we have the final consent agenda plan? I think that is going to determine some of the efficiencies as well.
Well, that's in the consent agenda. Yeah, we do have, there's another select board motion, and that's on the temporary easement for sidewalk construction, but it's just a motion, and you don't have to do a presentation for that.
Okay.
The DPW article.
All right. And then there was a question about the consent agenda while you guys are looking at that.
10 articles on the consent agenda?
Yep, approximately 10.
10 articles in the consent agenda?
Maybe it could be one night.
Finalized yet by Connor. He's still looking it over and making a decision, sort of what makes sense, but I think he's more or less comfortable with it. But I don't know if it's the final blessed as of this time.
Yeah, I think we talked on Thursday or Friday, Open Space has one for, Franklin Road, that property. So they're going to move that in, and, Open Space is comfortable with that. Connor is. Just anything we can put in. If people have a problem and they want to talk about it, we can pull it out of the consent agenda, but I think the idea is as much as possible in the consent
Leave as
agenda.
much in, yeah. Okay. All right. I think we're in good shape. Kyle, are you good with how things are going on the financial side? 2 weeks. So is it 2 weeks from today? It's 2 weeks from today?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
From yesterday, right?
2 weeks from yesterday, sorry.
Yep.
Okay?
There are some motions for this evening.
I'm sorry?
There are some motions for this evening also. Town meeting related, budget related.
Okay.
I move to adopt the FY26 budget recommended by the Appropriation Committee and recommend approval of Article 5 on the annual town meeting warrant.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion on the table and a second to advance the budget to town meeting based on what we had sent to the Town Appropriations Committee prior, who sent it back to us approving it.
Correct.
That, I think
With the
is-
additional changes of the 5 million in stabilization
Yeah.
and the paying off the bond, which wasn't in the original.
Yep, okay. Everybody good?
Yep.
Right.
Anybody want to discuss the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that handles the motion going to town meeting.
Mr. Chair, I move to reconsider the board's recommendation on Article 2 of the annual town meeting warrant.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for Article 2 to reconsider our previous vote regarding the article. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Next motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to authorize the posting of, I move to recommend no action on Article 2.
Second.
So now we're reconsidering, and now we're going to go to no action, and that's what it says in there now. Okay. So we have a motion
Second.
to recommend no action. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous and so carries. Okay. That, I believe, concludes the work we need to do for town meeting preparation.
That's correct.
You good? And you want to give them one more plug for 5-minute presentations to our colleagues?
5-minute presentations or less.
Okay. With that, we'll move on from item number 8 in the agenda to item number 9. We covered in the first few minutes of the meeting the Main Street Corridor project update. We'll go to item B, Elaine.
Town department position vacancies, so there is now a vacancy for a firefighter paramedic due to the promotion of John D. Rivera to lieutenant. So they'd like approval to post that position.
Okay.
I move to authorize the posting of a firefighter paramedic position.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to post. It makes sense to me.
That's
Do you have any questions, comments?
I did have a question. So we have already another firefighter position open too, right? That we posted earlier?
I believe it should be filled shortly if it hasn't.
Oh, it's just in process. Okay, great.
It doesn't have to come back to the board.
Okay.
All good? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous and so carries. Thank you. Item number, does that conclude your report, Elaine?
Yes.
Okay. Item number 10, liaison reports, board invites. Mr. Manon, anything?
Nothing at this moment.
Okay. Ms. Lafreniere.
Mine is just a congratulations to the Hopkinton Marathon Committee for their job they did on the race on Monday. It went off beautifully, and they do a lot of hard work. I like that group.
I thought it was a great day.
It was a great day.
Great day. Mr. Clark.
I spoke about the open space change for the town meeting article, and so really kind of to echo what Mary Jo said, you know, the police department, all the first responders from town, you know, like a great job. The police department actually, you know, had me attend their, you know, their planning discussion with, you know, so it was about 50 people, the state police, a couple of the federal agencies last Wednesday. And just shows all the work that goes in, you know, for the weeks leading up to this. You know, it's not a coincidence that it goes off smoothly. So just hats off to them and all their preparations.
Great. Thank you. Amy?
Yeah, I was going to also give a shout out to Parks and Recreation. I thought their event on Saturday with the kids' 100-yard dash was great, very well attended. Thank them for doing that. Just a lot of events coming up since it's spring, but so I wanted to acknowledge the Lake Whitehall cleanup is coming up, I think, next Saturday, the electrical vehicle fair next Sunday, and the Little League Parade, I think, the same day. And then the EHOP Know Your Vote show is coming up on April 30th. So if people had questions about any of the town meeting articles that we've been discussing, they should feel free to send those in. And Elaine's going to be there, and she can answer questions.
Okay, let's move to item number 11, future board agenda items. Economic development, we're working through the town meeting on that. Liquefied natural gas, still something we got to get to. That thing, unredacted documents is pending. Town council, and labor council, we're going to deal with right after the election. Update on the Commission on Disability. We haven't talked about that.
The one I think Elaine was working to schedule.
They weren't quite ready last week, I think.
Weren't they gonna?
Not quite ready yet.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Yep. If I-
Public safety in schools regarding preparedness, we know. Redactions, I think we talked about 25 goals. We did talk about that and said we were going to set 26 goals,
We can change that to 26.
right? I think we can change that to 26, and then we should do that right after the election. Okay, is everybody good with that?
Yep.
And then the federal budget changes. I know we haven't quite got a full picture there, but we'll get target. We'll be getting into that at some point, I suspect. Okay.
Regarding the Economic Development Committee, we did put a notice out there, so last I asked, there were maybe 4 applicants so far?
Now we've got twice that, I think.
Oh, great, okay.
We've got some more applicants.
So we will be able to appoint soon, okay.
And we'll schedule that so that we can make the appointment starting July 1st.
Okay, great. So with that, we can move to item number 12, which is an executive session. The select board will consider convening an executive session pursuant for 2 items. A, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30, Section 21A, Purpose 3, to consider strategy with respect to negotiations with the police, fire, DPW, and dispatch unions. And item B, to approve executive session minutes of 2/4/25 and 4/1/25, to allow Elaine Lazarus and Lance Del Priore to participate in executive session, not to convene an open session after conclusion of the executive session. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the table to go into executive session for the purposes stated. Any discussion?
Did you say not to return? to
I
open
did,
session?
yeah.
Okay.
To return.
Just double check.
Hearing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Roll call.
opposed?
Roll call.
Roll call on exec.
Amy Rodabush, yes.
Joe Clark, yes.
Mary Jo LaFreniere, yes.
Shahidul Mannan, yes.
Brian Herr, yes. It's unanimous and so carries. We're going to executive session, not to reconvene. Thank you all. Have a good night.